How y'all doing, guys? Alright, so it's ManPub, and today I'm bringing you a video on how to shoot better in Arma 3. Now, I'm not saying this is a video on to make you better at pointing your mouse at someone and shooting, but more specifically, this video is aimed on how to manage your recoil in-game. Now, probably thinking, how do you manage your recoil? And a lot of you probably already know this, and if you do, I would not watch this video. But if you're curious, stay tuned. So, Arma 3 has a very realistic recoil simulation. So, we can gauge this by pointing at a horizon and shooting full auto without putting any input in the mouse and seeing how far the muzzle rises. And we'll go ahead and do an initial test just so y'all can see. As you can see, it reaches pretty high up into the sky. Now, if you're trying to shoot full auto, it can make it kind of a hassle to have to shoot someone if they're not really close up. And if you have a high-powered optic, it's even worse at ranges because then they go completely out of your screen or your scope, and then it's hard to find them, and it can cause a mess. So if you have nothing around you, let's say you're literally on this airfield and you have no form of cover and you're just out in the middle, you're kind of out of luck when it comes to reducing recoil. The best way to reduce recoil if you're out in the middle is to just lay down. Lay down. If you look in the top right hand corner of the screen, you can see that there is a little bipod symbol, and all that means is that now I have an extra point of attachment on my gun, or point of contact. So I have my hand, my shoulder, and now the ground. And if we do that recoil test, you can see that it is very reduced. And that's a good thing. But the problem is laying down, for a lot of you may know, gets you killed pretty quick in this game. It may reduce the size of your silhouette, but if someone's a pretty decent shot, you'll be dead pretty quick. You can't move fast. You're better off just literally running in zigzags. So your stance can help and reduce recoil, but there's not too much difference from standing versus crouch. So really laying down is your only option. So if the other person doesn't know you're there, shooting while laying down is a very good way to make sure you can get a lot of shots on target so they can't even react and turn around and shoot you. You kill them before they even know what's going on. And that's the goal with recoil reduction. Alright, so the next couple tips I'm going to show you about how to manage your recoil is to get braced on something. So this is what I was talking about if you have cover. Any type of cover will work for this, even if it's a log, the slab, or even that pole. So if you just walk right up to something, you look in the top right hand corner, you can see that a white rectangle appears along with that bipod symbol. So what this is saying is that you are braced against this wall, and you're using the wall to place on the bottom of your handguard at another point of attachment. So if we do a recoil test, you can see that it's not near as bad. And you can do that, say, on this section of it, and you crouch. You can see it popping up there with the bipod symbol. You can do it with a pole, as you can see, and you can do it with the edge of a wall. Now, this is a pretty good way to manage recoil, but it does have some limitations. First of all, you have to be along a wall. If someone's out there and they're that way and you only have this wall, it doesn't work too well. But normally you can find something to help brace yourself. So always try to do that. And it makes shooting a little easier, but then again, if they're not closer than 100 meters, it could be pretty hard. So the last tip I have for managing recoil is attaching your weapon to a window or wall. Now, I actually don't know what it's called, because in real life it's also called bracing, but for the sake of this video, we're just going to call it attaching. So if you walk up to a window like this, and the normal bracing happens automatically, you don't have to do anything. Look in the top right hand corner, you can see that the white rectangle and the bipod is there. So you're getting the benefit of the bracing, which is great. But you can take it a step further with this by pressing C. And now, if you look in the top right hand corner, you can see that the rectangle is now filled in white. What this means is you basically have a bipod now, and it's kind of like a turret. And the recoil is almost 100% reduced, almost. And we'll go ahead and do a test with it. 30 round magazine. It's absolutely nothing. This is your ideal situation. You want to have cover that is parallel with the ground. That way you can brace up against it, and you can make all of those shots fairly easy. Even in full auto out to about 200 yards, you should be able to make. And as I say that, I miss this guy. There we go. So if you can attach your weapon, that is the absolute best way to reduce recoil. It'll increase your effectiveness tenfold if you practice. Now, again, so using your stances, bracing, and attaching can really make the difference between shooting at someone running across a field, say in Battle Royale, and killing them before they have time to start zigzagging or turn around and shoot at you, versus them just dropping and having no idea what even happened. Okay, so my last tip is Optic Selection. Now, if you play a game like Battle Royale, a lot of times you're just working with what you have, but a lot of times you will pick up different types of optics, or you'll find different types, and you will pick one to put on your rifle. Now, I think a lot of problems with accuracy and recoil result from not using the right type of scope for the job. Now, this ACOG and the ARCO and the RCO, they have a really unique feature that makes them a little more flexible, and that's the tiny little red dot on top. Now, this may sound intuitive, but you would think, you know, using the red dot at close range and the actual scope at long range is common sense, which it is. But where is the line between when you should use this versus using this? Now, this is what I mean by personal preference. It can change between different players. And for me, I think about the 150 yard mark or 150 meter mark is about where it should be. So this guy is 100 meters and that guy is 200 meters, somewhere about half. So this guy is running around right on the boundary. And when you're braced and everything's right, you have good cover, using this, even in full auto, isn't a bad option. But conversely, this guy responds, using the red dot is also not a bad option. And honestly, I prefer to use the red dot around the 150 and even the 200 yard mark, because you get this zoom. And the reason is because, first of all, you can see a lot more around than when you have this on, because the zoom isn't as much. So you have more peripheral vision, and it takes less mouse input, which means you have to make fewer corrections, and therefore or maybe not fewer corrections, but you have to move your mouse less to correct for whichever way the guy's moving and the recoil you're feeling. So using this, using your red dot as long as possible is the best option. And the thing is once you start getting out into the 200-meter range, even if you're fully braced, it starts getting really iffy anyways on hitting someone, and chances are that if you're shooting at someone past that, even with this, you start losing just straight up combat effectiveness. You're more likely just going to reveal your location than take them out. So you have to make that decision and find what you do best with what power optic. But I would definitely take the time to figure that out. And for those of you wondering, the mod I'm using to use this is PlayerUnknown's a firing range. It's a great mod to practice different things, specifically to Battle Royale, but it's also a good mod just to get better at shooting in Arma 3, and I highly recommend it. But hopefully you liked this video, and hopefully you learned something from it. If you liked it, please like it. If you disliked it, dislike it. Leave a comment if you have any questions or you have other tips of your own, because honestly, I'm open to them. I am not the best shooter in Arma 3 by any means, but these are some things that I think will help beginners who are new to Arma and wonder why they're getting mowed down so fast, but they can't hit someone. And it might be because of this reason. So, I hope y'all have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.